Hey folks, good evening and welcome to the stream. I'm very happy and glad to see you all here. Please let me know how the sound volumes are. Let me know if Brian's changed anything whilst I've been away and not been doing a build stream. Hopefully the sound is in sync. I did do a quick recording. It all looked good from my end, so I hope it is from your guys as well. A couple of big shout outs. Firstly to Millie Birdie with the first, like 20 minutes before the stream started, so well done. Hi to Kakan, Tronic, Anarchy, I am Karcher, Jay, You Gonna Lose, Max Surfy, Pilot, anyone else who's here as well. Captain Schwa, that's such a great name, such a great name. Atomic Monkey as well, some great names today. Nebulance here as well saying hi Jay, hey man, good to see you. Jackson is here as well, and Max Surfy is here as well. Mr. Render Legend. Render Legend. Sounds okay. Good. I'm glad. Living the JO1, also the Kipura. Yes, so I can probably get this off here. So I did promise actually that I would show this on stream. So this is the JO1 Kipura when it focuses. This was specially commissioned for the JO1 board Group Boy, which is this board right here. As I'm sure you can agree, looks pretty damn smart. I'm really happy with these. Thank you very much to Noah F for arranging those, and to everyone who joined the group buy. So yeah, what keyboard is this? This is the JO1. This is my custom keyboard. I just finished doing the group buy. I've literally got 15 of them sat around me ready to ship in the next few days, couple of weeks, something like that. It's a brass and black Beastie Boy with a magnetic pen rail as well. So there we go. yeah, my personal board. Who else have we got on stream today? Kakan, did I need to powder my nose? No, I was just pouring another rum and coke. So cheers, everybody. Victor is here as well, saying hello. Good evening, Victor. Lubed Helios as well. Hi, Jay. Hey, man. Pitoko is here. I saw your board, dude, and glad you saw what I meant about the sides down, the bezels down in the edge here. So fingers crossed you're going to have a look at that, because I'm really interested with how your board sounds. So glad to see you again, dude. Jackson, any of these for sale? The JO1? No, sadly it was a 15-run group buy. There are none for sale, but there is a but. There will be 2 units left over, one of which is here. You'll have to excuse the fact it's being used as a tray at the minute. Let me just grab this. So this, when I can get hold of it. So this is being used as a bit of a tray at the minute, but this is actually the prototype for round 2. So there was a couple of different changes made to the board between round 1, which was this one, which was a one-off unit, and round 2. Mostly that this badge was less deep, and there was a couple of other things, like all of the corners here were rounded off in the same manner. On this one we experimented with different corners, so you can't really see, but this corner here and this corner radius here are very, very different on that board, just because it was experimenting. But this is round 2 prototype. It does have some slight damage to it. I can't really tip it up and show you, but there's a couple of marks here on the side where it's had anode hooks and things like that on. Now that one won't be for sale, but what I will be doing is I'll be raffling that off for charity. 100% of proceeds go to charity. Every single penny, cent, whatever currency you use donated will go to charity. And the way I'm going to do that is in a few weeks, once I've shipped the other 15 and everything's good with those, it's going to be a $5 entry for a raffle ticket, and everything goes to charity. You can enter as many or as few times as you like, and then once it's shut down after about 4 weeks, I'll run it for about 4 weeks, I'll roll the winner. The winner won't have to pay anything other than their $5. They'll get free shipping. Everything else will be free, and I'll ship whoever pulled out of RNG the board. So that's what I plan to do. So yeah, interested to do that. There's also the JO2. Alchemist KB can attest to that as well. I can see him in chat there. The JO2 is coming, which is a very different board, but there'll be an IC up for that in the next couple of weeks as well. So lots going on, but yeah, I'm going to completely raffle off that particular board for charity. Every single penny, cent that's raised will go straight to Wheatfield Hospice. For those that you don't know, I lost my mum earlier on this year, and Wheatfield Hospice was a hospice that looked after her during her end-of-life care, and they were just absolutely special people. They were so good to her. They treated her with respect, dignity, looked after me and my brother as well, because we were obviously going through a terrible time. So I just want to do something to give back to those. So that one board will be raffled off, $5 per ticket, unlimited tickets available, and we'll just RNG it one day on stream. So that's what we're going to do. Catching up then, Alchemist KB says the board that changed the game. It didn't change the game. It's a great board. Everyone's starting to put pen rails on stuff now, which I've noticed after I put this one on here. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. Ashla says Captain Morgan. No, it's just Kraken is what I'm drinking at the minute. So yeah, nothing too special. Nice, cheap, easy to drink, plenty of Coke. Yeah, all good. Pilot says, that's so awesome, great idea, Jay, can't wait to join. Thank you very much, dude. I am Karcher as well, saying they'll definitely join in the raffle. Jackson saying, thank you for sharing all of that with us. Good luck to the winner, and sounds like it'd be for a great cause. Yeah, it is a great cause. I mean, the guys up there, guys and girls up there at the hospice, they just looked after so much, like literally simple things like finding me toiletries because I'd been there for 4 days and hadn't slept or showered, and literally running a bath for me and stuff like that, and taking off my clothes, and well, not taking my clothes off me, but taking my clothes off to get them laundered for me and everything else and stuff like that. If I fell asleep anywhere randomly just because I was wandering around in a bit of a daze, I'd wake up and I'd have like a glass of water and I'd be covered with a blanket. They just looked after me just as much as they did my mother as well. So yeah, so I want to give a bit back to them. So that board is going to be the raffle board. There's potentially going to be 2 boards, that one and another one, because there's some parts during the group buy that just need to be remade, so there might be enough to make one more whole board. We'll see. If there is, then there might be 2 to raffle off, but at the minute there's only 1 guaranteed, so we'll see where we get to. Jay, thank you very much for my loss. Thank you. Yeah, well, not thank you for that, but thank you very much for your sorry for your loss, and Jackson as well. It just happens. It's one of those things. Yeah, Pitoko says he's lost memories of Kraken. Yeah, it depends on how much you get through. You can do. Chris Bezic says Kraken is great. Have you built your Space 65 yet? My personal one, no, it's still in the to build pile. So is my Dora 67, which is now pretty much fixed. I'll show the plate that I've blasted off the base and stuff next week probably. So yeah, and then I've got a few of the boards. I've got my actual JO1 to build. The JO2 prototype should be here soon, so I'll be building that on stream as well. And I think I've got a few other builds as well. I can't recall off the top of my head, but there's a few. Oh, Royal 66. I've got a Duck Viper I need to build because I've been wanting to use that for a while. I don't know, there's a few boards. SKB, actually, SKB somewhere lying around. Okay, so Mac Mutant, thank you very much with the tier 1 sub. Subscribe for 4 months. I'm currently on a 4-month streak. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate that. That board with Olivia is pretty insane, must admit. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the, as I say, the JO1. It's my custom baby, fully gasket mounted, using the true isolation method. So my board came before the Kepler and the Kepler 65, but they actually use the same mounting on the Kepler as what I've got in this. So yeah, interesting. Ashley saying everyone knows how it was the rain that changed the game. So Alchemist KB is the guy behind the rain, or one of the guys behind the rain. He's very much the designer, which I built on stream when I was having camera problems a couple of months ago. So yeah, I think that group buy went pretty well. So hopefully they'll be shipping soon. Recently built myself an Iris. What's your feelings on ortho? I struggle with it personally. So yeah, I don't mind it. I think it looks good. I can't use it, if I'm honest. Any idea if the Singa is going to be available anytime soon? Yes, very soon from what I understand. I've got the box just at the side of me here. I'll be unboxing that in a few minutes, and I'll be showing you off the version that I've got, which is version 3. I also do have version 1 polycarbonate, which I'll grab now actually. So this is my original polycarbonate Singa, as you can see there. Yes, it's built ISO, but so what? This is with GMK Calm Depths on it. I haven't actually used this key set since it got put on here, so I apologise it's a little bit dusty. But the key set's never been typed on. I just put the keycaps on to make the board look nice. And there you go. This is after about a year of build. You can see that it's worn quite well. There's very few scratches on the board, even though PCs ease the damage. And there's a tiny little mark on the weight where I think some dirt got underneath it, but. Year of use, all looking good so far. So we'll talk about this board and how it compares to the actual new Singa later on, which we'll say. Okay, can we get a sound test? I will do a sound test right at the end of the stream. Yes, don't worry about that. That will happen. Singa R3, yeah, the Singa R3 is just here. We'll be building it shortly. Navy and Eco are going through QC and then going up, yeah. So many keys, not enough money, yeah. If R3 has a polycarb option, I'm there. I don't think it does as far as I'm aware. I think it's just colours. I think actually I have a list of what will be available. Let me just take a look. Yeah, so there'll be 14 velvet, 6 rose gold, 14 navy, 10 blood orange, 15 eco, and 10 in lilac. So quite a lot of boards. Sadly, no polycarbonate. Jay, opinions on Bergamot with O-rings. So I kind of like Bergamot with O-rings. I have it on my Brutal 60. My camera's gone out of focus. There we go. I like it on my Brutal 60, and I've also got it on the Satisfaction 75. It works quite well on both of those boards. Just softens out the downstroke effectively, especially with really firm plates. I like firm plates, carbon fibre, which is what's in this. I've got carbon fibre in my Brutal and in my Satisfaction 75 as well, and I just like the fact that it just dampens out the bottom feel of it as you're typing, but doesn't take away from the rigidity and the firmness of the board. I'm not one for flexible builds personally. I prefer a firmer build, and I think Bergamot just softens it nicely. Ooh, blood orange. Yeah, lots of orange boards coming recently, which is exciting because orange is good. I actually built my Exempt last week, which is a very similar colour to the blood orange. If I can line these 3D printed parts out of the way. So this is what I built last week. It's actually on the side ready to go to work because it's going to be my work board for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, not enough orange boards out there at the minute. Oh, that fell on the floor. Okay, I've just realised my face cam is zoomed way out. Let's see if we can zoom that in a little bit, guys. Give me 1 second. If my computer decides to load the Logitech software up. There we go, much better. Okay. Do you flex your boards during work? LOL. I take a board to work and change them out once every couple of weeks, really. So yeah. So Jackson says, do you think the Brahma Thermal have a good resale value? I think it'll sell resale for what it's worth, which is what most boards do. Very few boards are worth double, triple, or they sell for in group buy. I can't see that being the case for Thermal because it's an open group buy and Rama board's going to send, or because it's being run through Rama. I know it's a Wilbertech board, but effectively it's a Rama product and there'll be thousands of them made. So it's not a board to buy if you want to flip, which I dislike anyway. If you want to buy a board, buy it because you want it, not because you want to make a profit off of it, is my view. Buying to resell just takes the spot away from someone who actually really wanted it. So yeah, that would be my advice. Is there a board or build that is good for trying out Flex for the first time? Probably the cheapest one is the IDB60, which Alchemist KB was kind enough to lend me to take Seattle. That's a very, very flexible build, and it'll show whether you actually like that feel or not. And I think it was only like $165 in group buy, something like that. If someone wants to just correct me on the price, please do. But it's quite cheap. So you may be able to find one of those soon. Ronak Singh says, do you live in the US or the UK? I'm in the UK, not the US. I'm very much a UK based resident, as you can probably tell by my accent. I don't plan on buying to resell, just looking to build a board and go for another one. I build a board nearly every week, dude. I mean, you know, the prices don't change as such. Most boards don't flip, and I've never sold anything for more than what I paid for it. So yeah. Bear Antler says, did you join the volcano? Personally, I didn't. No, I skipped that one. I do like 66 key. It's one of my favourite layouts, but I did skip that board. I think I bought the E6.5 at the time instead. Chris Bezic says, I think it's nice that boards hold their value, especially if you like to change around a bit. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Thoughts on Bok? So I actually have a Bok CP, but that's BOK. I don't know what the BOCC is actually. If you want to share the link, I'll have a look at it. But I don't recognise the name off the top of my head. But I do look at so many interest checks, I may have seen it and not remember. Yeah, IDB60. So you've got that exactly right as you've typed it, Frisco Mel. The IDB60 being run by Canon Keys in the US and by Pingu in the EU. Okay, so actually sent me that link. Let me just open that, take a look at what he's sharing. Maybe something we've already talked about on... oh, I haven't seen this. I like the layout. Yeah. Okay. There's only a few more pictures here. Found them. Okay. Okay. So thoughts. Bearing in mind, I haven't read any of this interest check or looked at it. I like the bottom weight. I like the layout. As you can see, I do like clusters for macro keys to the side. 65% again. As you can see, it's basically this but condensed together. Yeah. So the layout's good. I don't know if it offers ISO or not. I can't see there or not, so that's always a big decider for me. I do buy some non-ISO boards, but I tend to stick with ISO boards most of the time because that's my thing, being from the UK and all. The polycarbonate I'm not so much a fan of, but I do like the black and red version with the red top and the black base and the brass. I'd prefer to see something like a carbon fibre or a POM plate or something non-metal in the board like this. Especially with the base so deep, it's going to have a lot of resonance with a metal plate. So I think the community as a whole is moving away from metal plates. I'd like to see some other options in there. And again, I'm not reading this. It may already say this all in there because I haven't read it. Yeah, I think it looks good. I'd just ask for ISO support. That'd be another thing I'd need for that board for it to be a must buy, because I really like the layout. Again, I can't read. There's a lot in that I see. I suspect, given when did it go up? Monday, 1st of July. How did we not have this on Top Clack? I don't recall seeing it on Top Clack. Interesting. Interesting. Unless we talked about it and I've forgotten about it. Anyway, there we go. Bok for Thok. Alchemist KB says, I can only sell one at a loss. Yeah, sometimes that happens, man. It's i69 layout with a PC option. Yeah, well, the i69 was is inspired by the KMac and the Revo K Mini. I think the KMac was the first one to do it. There's also been the Red Scarf 68, I think, did it, or was it 78 or something? And then of course the JR1 and the i69 as well. So I wouldn't say that it's copying the i69. I think the i69 is just one of a variation of a history of boards. But I do like the i69 as well, because the i69's got that really nice flattened front lip that you see on the TMO50 as well, which is lovely. Time Lord Alonzi, oh, I love that reference, that's such a great name. Alonzo, yeah, I remember that. Subscribe for 2 months, currently on a 1 month streak, so thank you very much. ISO is supported, excellent. Are you flexing those Zeal stabs? I rarely use Zeal stabs, and I have some that will fit in the Singa. I'm trying to stay away from GMK ones at the minute because they have a problem with all the new GMK ones, so I'm waiting for that to be fixed. So I'm probably going to end up buying a lot more Zeal or EPPT stabs or something like that. I do only have a 6.25U spacebar, so that's what's going to have to go in the Singa. We're going to have to make that build work. I believe that this version, and I haven't really looked yet, I've opened the box, make sure everything's there, and then closed it. I haven't really looked at the board, but I believe this has only got the blocker on the right hand side just before the arrow keys. I think that's the only blocker on this board, so there we go. Next board I'm getting is a Think 65 with the integrated 4.5mm plate. That'll be an interesting one. Yeah, I'm interested in that. I don't like the badge placement personally, but I do like the idea of a 4.5mm integrated poly plate. 4.5mm poly feels like 1.5mm alu in terms of its stiffness, but just has a nicer sound profile. What's the problem with GMK stabs? So the tolerances have changed between manufacturing rounds, and they're now scratchy no matter what you do with them. It's very difficult to lube them in a way that means they aren't scratchy and stiff. If you watched my Clippe build, or no, sorry, I'm going to pronounce it right, I'm copying Brian here, my Clipper build last week, I was having problems with the housings and the return of the space bar and stuff like that, and it's because I've got old tolerance inserts in new tolerance housings, and things were just not fitting together. No. New tolerance inserts in old tolerance housings, that's what it was, and it just wasn't working very well. So I'm trying to make some stabilizers up together like these ones are that all work nicely, but yeah, it's a thing on the thing so that's happening at the minute. GMK have acknowledged it, so Andy, who's Living Speed Bump, the representative who works for GMK now, he's said that it is a problem, they're trying to look at it. Okay, anyway, without much further ado, so just to tell you about the build today. So I will be using, and you can use the build command actually if anyone else wants to see this. I'll do this first. So build should tell you what I'm doing. But what we are using is just some standard black Gatorons. These have been lubed with 205 grade 0 and spring swapped. They haven't been broken in, so they are stocker than that. 78 gram sprit springs, and as I say, just lubed with 205 grade 0. They're not Nixies, they're just milky topped Gatorons, that's all they are. And the springs have been lubed with Krytox 104 as well. So those are the switches we're going to use today. The stabilizers, as we said, are from Zeal. So these have been used once before. The sliders and the housings are still lubed, so I'm not going to do those, but I will pop out the wires, re-lube the wires and put them back in before we start doing the build. Okay. And the reason why I'm using these switches is because when I compare it to the polycarbonate Singa, the polycarbonate Singa uses tangerines, and tangerines are basically just a recoloured version of this. So that's why I've picked those particular switches for this build, because the sound and feel of the switches is going to be broadly the same, so it should help us to review the boards and compare them easier. Yeah, Chris, it's any stabs bought from a reputable vendor in the past 4 weeks, I think. Zui is here as well, saying hi. Good evening, sir. Jay saying fixes. They're just they're literally just Milky Tops Gator ones, guys. They're not Nixes or Fixes or anything like that. That J1 is teasing me. Geo, yours is. Do you want to see yours? I think I have it here. Let me just bring this Singa box over. I think, Geo, I have yours just here, actually. Yeah, I do. So this one is Geo's JO1. So excuse the dust, Geo. I will blast them off with air before I ship it. But Geo, this is yours. I am going to do all of the work needed to it. You've got all of the stickers and everything ready in here, and the magnets are in there as well. So everything you could possibly need is all in the case. So there you go, Geo. That one's yours. And here's your little USB cable. There you go. So there you go, Geo. That one is yours. And here's the Singa box. This is what we're going to open. Tease you even more, yeah. Can I see mine? Nebulon, I can show you if you really want to show yours, but the ANSI ones are over here that are pre-packed, so they're all in a box. And Geo's isn't in a box because he wants me to do some infill on it, and I just want to clean up some of the brass parts on Geo's before I ship it. And I also haven't put a plate in it yet because I was waiting for some extra plates. So if you really want to see yours, Nebulon, I can show yours, but yours is actually in the box, ready to go in the shipping boxes. So it will look just like Geo's. It does, but yours has got a plate already in the case for shipping. So there we go. Oof, that tease, yeah. Singa here. I have opened it just to make sure everything was there, but I haven't really looked at the board. So you'll see that. Open the damn box. Yeah, all right. Calm down. Just a minute. We'll get there. Random question: what typing experience would I get on Polaris given its mount? You're going to get it depends on the plate you've picked, to be honest. The plate's going to really affect it. We've got Duggo on stream. Oh, Jeej, you can leave that packet alone. Come on, Jeej. There you go. She'll probably go to sleep just there. But Duggo on stream. Good gal. So the Polaris, I am in on the Polaris. It's all going to depend on the plate that you get. That will really affect the typing field because you've got the plate under there, so you've got the PCB under there with the relief cut in it as well. So it is all going to depend on the that particular plate that you get. Given its mount, it's going to be a little bit softer. If you've got something like a full brass plate, it's going to feel pretty firm anyway, but it's just soft and bottomed out, very much like the Keycap or the JO1 does. It's going to be that kind of feel. If you've got something like a half plate with carbon fibre, something it's going to be very soft all over, and you're going to have a lot of flex in the middle. So all depends. What's in the effing box? It's a Singa V3, man. That's what's in the box. Cute Doggo stream. Yeah, she'll probably just go to sleep there. That's when I work from home. I work here, and she just lays in that chair. That's her chair. So yeah, there you go, guys. Isn't she cute? Bless her. No CF or pump plates for Polaris. I thought there was a CF half plate. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, shut's going up. There we go. My wife's calling her. There we go. She's gone. Quoting the movie 7. Yeah, I know you are. Yeah, it's a good film. Can we play Minecraft? Sure, go for it. Any idea of how long these Singas will last in stock? There is 14, 20, 34, 44, 59, 69. 69 of them to go into stock. I imagine they're going to last about 20 minutes or less. Probably less, because I think they'll go pretty quickly. So if you do want one, be ready for them and keep watching for Singa, Elaine, Catweewee to logos up here to give any updates. And just while I'm doing this, I'm not sure if they're watching, but big shout out to my keyboard.eu for providing the switches for today's build as well. So very much thanks to Elaine for this, the Catweewee, and to Necroman, Necrowoman, David and Yulia for the switches. So there we go. Your body is ready. Only brass, poly and FR4. Okay, I thought yeah, poly. Oh yeah, okay, polycarbonate. Yeah, I thought there was carbon fibre in there, but yeah, polycarbonate is still going to be flexible anyway. But yeah, once Jay hits the floss, TC will overtake NK and followers. Now I'm not going to floss on stream. That's not my bag. I don't even lube on stream because I feel like you guys would find it boring. Okay, let me just move this back a little bit and give myself a little bit more space. So this is the Singa V3 box as it comes. As you can see, it's all taped up nicely. It has the Singa logo on the side. That is upside down, I know, but there we go. So let's open the box. And as I say, I did open the box earlier on just to check that everything was present, and it is, but I haven't really looked at anything in here. I've not taken it out, examined it, or anything like that. Oops, apologies for that. Okay. The first thing we see is the plate. Here we go, guys. Plate all wrapped up nicely. It's flat. It's not bent, which is good. That all looks nice. So based on this, guys, any guesses as to what colour the board is? Hold that there for a second. Any guesses as to what colour the board is? Why is the box still closed? I'm getting there. Tyler's just in time. Welcome, man. Black, grey, blue, green. Okay, okay. Bearing in mind that there is velvet, rose gold, navy, blood orange, eco, and lilac, and this is the plate. What colour board do you think it is? Casey's green. Ornery's right. Rose gold. Rose gold. Okay. So underneath that, we've then got a mass of bubble wrap. Always good for protecting the boards. Got some screws and some bump-ons. Two different types of screw. One for the top mount screws and some case screws as well as the bump-ons. So always useful. We've then got the PCB. And we'll have a look at this in detail, but this is the Wilbur PCB. As you can see, it's got the Wilbur logo here and the Singa logo as well. So we'll definitely take a closer look at this when I open it up. Singa, the brand here as well. So all looking really rather nice on that. I do like Wilbur's PCBs, so we'll have a look at that shortly. There we go. Put that to one side, and here is the board. So there we go, guys. All comes nicely wrapped up. Silver weight in this one, so it is brass but coated silver as far as I understand it. Board's quite hefty, it's quite chunky, it feels like a solid unit. Flip it over, and you can see we've got that rose gold with that nice silver line on there as well. We'll get some better shots of this when it's outside of the case in a couple of minutes as well, outside of the plastic as well in a couple of minutes. So there we go. That is the board. Mind the box out of the way. So let me go, guys. What do you think? You better put Olivia on this. No, Olivia's here. I am going to put a different key set on that should fit really, really well with it. Elaine didn't tell me what colour she was sending before she sent it, so I had to check one of the things. Check was the colour to make sure I got a key set available to put on it. So there we go. That sticks around. It's a lovely colour, isn't it? It looks great. So let's take a look at the plate first, and then we'll get into the board and the rest of it as well. I'm just going to open all these up. So these are just plastic self-sealed pouches. If I can find the edge. There we go. If you like that ASMR of opening packages, this is your lucky day. So the plate is aluminium, and one of the pieces of feedback that Elaine had on the earlier Singas was that the plates were a little bit Swiss cheesy, so I can show you on my polycarbonate Singa later on that the bottom row is quite open, there's a lot of places for stuff, it's universal and all of that kind of stuff. So for this particular version it is fixed ANSI, you can't use ISO on this particular board, which yes, it's a disappointment to me, but it's completely within Singa's realms of choices and Elaine's choices, and as such Wilbur has built PCB to only support this particular layout, so that was their choice for this particular round. You know, appreciate that's not for everyone, but it is one of those things. So no ISO on this particular one, but as you can see it's pretty much a fixed plate. There's a couple of different options for bottom row, so you can do 7U or you can do 6.25U space, and that of course means that you can change to Sangan and a few other bits around here. Other than that, the only other choices you've got are to split or have, to have stepped or full caps lock, and to split or to have full backspace. So those are the two main choices, and then there's two bottom row options. So very, very you know, carefully balanced plate in terms of its design to make sure it's as fixed as possible. No switch top opening, and as you say, it does come in this anodized aluminium form. So standard 1.5 millimeters thick. Feels, you know, just like any other plate does. Top mount, so it's top mount in 4 places on the top and the bottom. Again, avoiding where the spacebar sits, so you know, it's not too rigid by having the mount point to here or something like that, as a lot of boards do. But it's still going to be a fairly firm typing feel because of the 4 points across the edge of the board. Let's have a look at the PCB. This seal. Yeah, so I'm just going to need to grab some scissors or a knife. Or some flush cutters, these will do the job. Okay. And there's the PCB. Let's just catch up with chat, see what's being talked about. Yeah, we talked about Olivia. No, Olivia's. I have got 2 sets of Olivia, but one's on this board and one's set aside for another build, which we'll talk about later on. Is PC included in the choices? No, there's no PC for this round. It's going to be for Bento. Yeah, it'd match well with Bento. Going in ANSI? Yes, I am. As we've said, that only supports that unit. Yeah, it's a little bit. Damn beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. It's really nice. We'll look more at the board in a second when we get there. The logo and emblem on the bottom is so hot. It's really nice. It's really nice. Minimal. I actually have minimal on a board on the wall just here. That's the Clipper. Sorry, Clipper. That's on there. So yes, it's a lovely size minimal. But I'm not putting minimal on this board. Let's see if you guys can guess what I'm going to put on here. It's not minimal. It's not a white set as such. But see if you guys can guess. Besides the PCB, are there any differences between V3 and previous versions? We'll talk about those towards the end, but there are some differences, yes. NE ISO, no, sorry Walker, there's no ISO on this particular build, which is disappointing for me personally, but the board's going to look great and be great anyway, so I am completely fine on that perspective. Yeah, PC Singa V3 will be later on this year. This is going to be first, yeah. We should give Jay some speaking lessons. I think you meant to say lessons, but you put an extra I in there. Is there a date for this board? Soon is all I know. Jay, I see you respond to every single comment in chat. Really appreciate it. The favourite part about streaming is working with you guys and talking with you guys and stuff like that. That's my favourite part of streaming, so I try to whenever I can. And functional with the tier 1 sub for 6 months says, I hope you're having a great weekend. Yes, thank you very much, dude. It is Sunday evening for me. It's 8:37 and I've got work tomorrow, but other than that I'm doing just fine. But that's what the rum and coke is going to help with. Okay, so let's carry on having a look at this PCB. So here you can see we are looking at the base of the PCB. So this is the underside. This is where all of the components are. You can see it's got all these lovely traces. You know, Wilbur's very, very into doing all of these traces and all these lovely curves and marks and everything else. It is absolutely lovely. It's very, very impressive how he can manage to pull these off time and time again. So I'm really, really impressed with the PCB. You see it's got the Singa Lion logo, Wilbur's logo there. It's the Wilbur Tech WT75-B Singa 2019. It has the Singa logo here as well. So all looking good from that perspective. On the other side, this is the top side, you can see where it's got the MCU chip and everything else. It's just really, really nicely done. You see here where it's got all of the USB stuff. He does the through-hole stuff. It's just really nice. Just really, really nicely designed, all the traces and everything, so it's easy to see where the traces go. So if you're ever trying to port this, it'd be dead easy. Don't need to because Wilbur's already taken care of that. And there's another MCU down here as well, or smaller chip. I'm not sure what that one is. Again, the Wilbur logo, the Singa logo, and the Singa Lion logo and the Singa logo as well. So all looking really rather nice. The other thing to note as well is on this particular PCB there is 2 edge strips. They do need to be snapped off prior to building. You don't get that on all PCBs. That's something that's it isn't always there, it isn't always present. Sometimes it's already been pre-snapped off for you, but you do need to do that on this PCB. Again, they're just designed to assist it in travel, make sure it doesn't get damaged, give it a bit more rigidity, give it a weak point to snap if there is going to be a snapping point. And these are just easy to snap off just with finger and thumbs. You just pull them off basically, just like so. And then if we do this side as well, there we go. That's the PCB all prepped, ready to be built. Again, just one more look at that. I'll try and show you guys how detailed this is. Yeah, it's really, really clean. It does look lovely, and Wilbur, as you say, is very, very gifted at this sort of thing. A lot of Wilbur PCBs I've used, I've got them in the Ocelot just here, and a few of the boards as well, the Zephyr. All of his PCB work is exceptional, irrespective of what layouts he does and doesn't support. And I'm looking forward to getting the one that does support ISO, that's for the Clipper used in my thermal. So I was chatting to Wilbur the other day, and the thermal which I've ordered, I am going to manage to get that one in ISO at some point. So excellent. Looks like Metropolis desk pad. Oh, the lines on that. I thought you meant this desk pad. Now this is the Yuri one from Novel Keys. I had to remember there where it was from. So yeah, so it's a hot PCB. It is really, really nice. Yeah, PCB looking better than the early Chinese PCBs on the Zephyr. Yeah, I mean he's getting there. I think it's just different manufacturers or whatever. But Wilbur's work is always exceptional. He is the the #1 supremo when it comes to PCB design in the community right now. And then we've got the likes of Yankar and Martin Wood and Heine all following in his footsteps at the minute. So it's good to see. That sounds so scary. Yeah, just snapping them off, it's fine. It's not going to damage a PCB. PCBs are really, really robust. So as Jay says, we are going to test the PCB. Normally I don't do this on stream because I've already pre-built and pre-tested the well, not pre-built, but pre-tested the PCBs. So you're right, we should do that. And we'll do that very quickly before we look at the board. I'm just going to jump up on the switch hitter and share that with you guys. Let me just pop that over there, and if I do that, you should be able to see switch hitter. Steal a USB-C cable, and we're going to test everything. It's in the process of setting up currently. I'll give it a second, and then we'll just quickly test. I'll try and test each column, but as long as most of the board's working, I'm pretty trusting in Wilbur's PCBs. The other thing you'll notice as well, there's no underglow LEDs on here. I'm not sure if that's going to be fixed for the PC version, but I'm sure it will be. Okay, seems to be taking a while to set up, but WT75B is what it's coming up as. Okay, there we go. There we go. Device is ready. So let's try shorting a few of these pins out. So that's giving us the 9 key, so that's working just fine. Yeah, all looking just fine here. I appreciate I've got this on ISO layout, but you can see that everything is working as it's supposed to. I'll just jump around, do something on each row and most columns. There you go, guys. So you can see that everything is working as it's intended to. I'm pretty confident that the rest of that PCB will be just fine. Okay, just put that back in there. There we go. Okay, so the PCB's looking good. The plate's looking fine. Let's take a closer look at the case. Again, all wrapped in nice plastic. Bear in mind, guys, if there is any imperfections, this is a review sample. It's not necessarily the equivalent of the final thing. So I just want to show you guys the base first. Let's get rid of switch hitter. There we go. So just want to show you guys the base first. As you can see, it's looking rather nice. That whole rose gold with the line on there is looking really tasty. That's lovely and smooth. The tolerances are great on there. You can barely feel the seams. You can just about feel them when you run your finger over them, but they're really, really tight and really nice tolerances. Again, tight machining in here. So all looks really nice and neat and tidy. Lovely chamfers on the edges. You can see there's actually a slight lip on the back of the board just here, where it just levels off and goes flat, just where the screws are. That's just to keep everything nice and even and away from the slope of the board. Looking at the rear, you can see it's a central USB. It doesn't use a daughter board or anything like that. One thing I potentially would like to see changes is a USB daughter board that maybe sits lower. When I showed off the JL1 earlier on, I've tried to move the USB as low as possible so it sits flat to the desk. The challenge I see with boards like this is because you can see that the board's slanted, which gives it the angle that you type on, the typing angle, which I think this is 7 degrees. It does mean that your cable then comes out of the board at a 7-degree angle, rather than coming out parallel to the surface that you're on. So yeah, that's one thing. There is a slight mark on the inside here, but again, it's just an anode hook mark. I'm not sure if that's visible. And again, I'm sure that these won't be on the retail versions. It is on the inside anyway. Small mark here as well, and again, this is just a review sample, so absolutely to be expected that this is not one of the perfect units. Inside though, you can see that it's got the nice Singa logo. Everything looks really nicely milled, machined. You can see it's taking fingerprints. It's that shiny really easily, but it's looking really rather nice. Colour consistency is pretty close, slight differences, but again, review sample, not a final production unit, so that's to be expected. Okay, let's look at taking this apart now. And again, this is where I've usually prepped and worked out exactly what size tools I need to be able to open a board. I've got some of these over here. There we go. I'll just take these out. Not opening the board prior to the stream does give me some challenges, such as this with tools, having to find the right bits. There we go. And that looks really deep in there. Is that going to fit? Yeah, just. Rather tight. There we go. Okay, that should all come apart nicely now. Pop those bits to one side. Okay, and as you can see, just on the inside, there's a couple of things I want to point out here. So you can see just here, there's a groove, and here as well, and here and here. Those grooves are because it's got alignment positions just on the base there. So those are to just help it align together. A couple of marks that you can see, just anode hook marks. Again, this is a review sample. It's not a production one. Not sure if that's showing up or not, but there's just a little mark above my fingernail. And again, it's on the inside of the case, so it's not something that's going to get seen. You can see here where the top mounts all work. So you can just screw the plate directly into that, and it all neatens up just fine. The blocker from the inside does have an A scratched into it. I'm not sure what that's for, but it's all looking good. And as I say, the only mark on the outside of the case I'm able to see anywhere, just looking at it, is that one just there, which is tiny. So there we go. But as I say, it is a review sample, not production model, so all good from that perspective. Here you can see what I was talking about before, whereby if you imagine that that's the flat of your desk just here, so you have it something like that. Something like that. That's going to be the flat of your desk just there. This is going to be the angle that goes in. Your cable is going to stick out at that same angle. It's not going to be flat to your desk. It's going to be like that, you see. Which is why I do prefer a daughter board, which does make it come out flat. Perhaps that's something that'll be in future rounds. Don't know. There's plenty of room in there to put a daughter board in and sink that down. So maybe that's something we'll see. Not going to take apart the weight, but it is a two-part weight system. So this piece here screws in from this side, and this screws in from underneath here. So if you take this piece out, there's two bolts that hold in the line, or there was on the previous version. Maybe we should just check that actually, see if this has changed. Let's just take a quick look at this. Oh gosh, that's tight. There we go. Let's catch up with chat just while I'm undoing this. PCB looking better than the early ones. Yeah, we talked about that. Beautiful PCB. I spy some missing screws. No, they're in a baggie to one side. It's just shipped like that to make it easy to take apart. Heine's making an underglow PCB for the PC version. Oh, nice. That'd be good. Yeah, she added the alignment tabs. Love it. Yeah, alignment tabs are good. And use it. Yeah, so there you go, you guys. You can see that the line is held in by two separate screws there, and this weight is just a thin piece that sits inside there, but it is quite chunky. So there you go. Nice and easy to see how that works and how that all goes together. It feels like brass. It may be something different. I'm not 100% certain. It does feel like coated brass, or the weight of brass as well. I guess it could be something like stainless steel. I didn't ask Elaine if she'd changed that, but it does have that weight. But whatever it is, it's definitely coated. Blue Cat, we said stainless steel. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think it could be. It could be. I haven't asked Elaine directly, but it could well be. So there we go. Funny coincidence, Ahab's already typing on his Polysinger. My Polysinger's just there. We'll be having a look at it later on and comparing it to the two. So that's the case and how everything goes together. As I say, it is a review sample, not a production model. So there you go. Look how good those alignment pins are. There's literally no movement between the top and the bottom of the case when those are put together. That's really nice and good tolerances. So it is a review unit, not a production case, so bear in mind that there might be some discrepancies on this that aren't on the real version, but I think that's all looking good. I'm sure you'll agree. Excuse the fingerprints. Clean those off later on. Albury's still waiting for the tungsten weight Gimli always wanted. Yeah, tungsten's a nice material. It's an interesting one for a weight. Yeah, not necessarily sure it would be my choice, but yeah, heavy stuff. There you go, guys. There's the other screws that someone mentioned were missing earlier. All present and correct. Okay, so now it's time to crack on with the build. We'll move some of these tools out to one side. Okay. First thing we're going to do is insert the stabilizers into the PCB. As I say, we are going to use the 6.25U option, which means that the stabilizers are going to sit just there. Then we've also got a stabilizer for the backspace, for the enter, and for the shift. So that's where our stabilizers are going to go. These have been used previously in another board very briefly, and then I've removed them from that board. So I'm going to use them for this particular build, which does mean that they have already been lubed once. So I'm not going to re-lube the sliders, but what I will do, if I can work out where this piece goes in my toolbox. Okay, we'll need it anyway. What I am going to do is just re-lube the wires just to make sure they're still nice and loose. So I'm just going to remove the screws from the base of all of these stabilizers. Is it 70 or 65? This is a 75% board. So it's a 60% with an extra column on the right and along the top as well. Just realised different screen qualities I can watch no matter how bad the internet thinks. Jono, you can change the quality of the stream. Yeah, you can select that and change it. The J1 is heavier than what a tungsten weight keyboard would be. Maybe, but the J1's a chunky board. If you replace the brass in that with tungsten, it'd be significantly heavier. I would have thought. I'm pretty sure tungsten's heavier than brass. It's also more difficult to machine as well. It's not a soft metal. Which looks a little bit unusual, but it's okay. 75%, that's my stuff. Yeah, I do like a 75%. I've got a couple. I've got both the original KBD 75 and the KBD 75 V2. I've got the previous Singa polycarbonate. I do have a black version 1 Singa that I haven't ever built. It's still as a kit somewhere. I think that's in the lockup at the minute. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get my silicone dielectric grease ready. Position that to one side. I'm just going to relube these wires really quickly, and then put them all back together. So I'm just going to try and make sure these are nicely lubed. As I say, the rest of these stabilizers have already been used once, so they are just fine. I just need to do these particular parts. There we go. That's one done. I don't usually lube this way, but given the fact that I've got a ton to talk about on this stream, trying to save time wherever possible. Just some bits of fluff because these are being reused as discussed before. Okay. As I say, these have already been lubed previously on the inside of the sliders, so I'm pretty comfortable that they're okay. Was there an IC place for this? Something I can get more info on for the Singa? As far as I know, yes. There's also the Singa Discord as well as the Singa website. So there's lots of information out there about these boards. I think there was definitely interest checks for round 1. There may have been interest checks for the subsequent rounds as well. I'm not 100% certain. Okay, almost there now. Just one more stabilizer to go after we've done this one. There we go. And greasy fingers here. And then last one. And then I'm just going to grab a wipe after this and clean my fingers because they are a little bit greasy. Okay, almost done. All put together. Just give me 1 second to just wipe my fingers, guys. Won't be a second. Last thing I want to do is get greasy fingerprints everywhere. Okay. Jack Static is here as well, saying, "Hey OJ, good evening, good man." Captain Schreier with the link to the Singa Discord, I assume. Thank you very much for sharing that, dude. So I wasn't here for the initial reveal. Is there any PCB layout changes? So yes, Ahab. So this particular PCB only supports ANSI. And we'll just cover the layout options again. So it only supports ANSI enter. You can't have ISO support. You can split or have full backspace. That's still available. You can have stepped or normal caps lock. And you can have one of 2 bottom rows. So you can have 1.25, 1.25, 1.25, 6.25, which is what we're doing today, or you can have 1.51, 1.57. But we're not doing that today because I didn't have any spare stabilizers that would allow me to use that layout, sadly. So there we go, guys. That's the stabilizers lubed. I'm going to pop these into the board now. Help if I got them the right way around. This is for the backspace. So all clips in nicely just there. Just going to screw this one in. Again, we shouldn't have any issues with shorting. We very rarely do on Wilbur PCBs. If we do, I will take this. I'll be able to add some grommets or something underneath later on. Very easy to fix, but we should be okay. Whoops. Savage Goose says, "What's your advice?" sorry, what are your thoughts on the IN65? I really like that board. I'm hoping to get one of the FEs. I'm really excited for it. I think it's one of the nicer looking 65s from this year. Okay, so when you're tightening these in, guys, just make sure you're only just tightening them. You don't want to over tighten them and make them too tight that they're gripping the PCB in an unusual manner. You're just wanting them finger tight. It's only to hold the stabilizer in. It's not something you need to tighten to save your life or anything like that, so no need to over tighten them. Just make sure they're all nice and level. Ahab says, okay, about the fixed layout, potentially not impressed by the layout choices. I think having fixed layouts is fine. I'd prefer it if the PCB supported both ANSI and ISO and you had choice of plates, or if your plate files were open, but I can completely understand why designers don't do that. You know, it's a discussion we've had many times on stream. Okay, almost there. Just the space bar to go after this one. Okay, all looking good from that perspective. Now we just pop this space bar one in. As I said, we are going for the 6.25U option rather than the 7U, so it does mean that we need to use these particular holes here. And I'm just conscious that there's a lot going on in chat at the minute, so I'll catch up in a second when I can. Okay. Okay, and last one just about to go in now. There we go, that's all of the stabilizers added to the board. We can now just make sure that they're all seated correctly by lining the plate over the top, and that all fits together nicely. What's new in the V3? So there's a couple of changes for the V3. So there's now a Wilbur PCB, which is this PCB here, which means that there's more limited layout support, but it's more of a fixed plate. As you can see, there's very little in terms of Swiss cheese in the plate or the PCB, so there's much more consistency from that perspective. It appears that the internal weight here is now made of stainless steel instead of brass. Previously there was a brass option. That seems to have changed for this particular round. And in terms of the rest of the changes, we'll have a look at those a little bit more closely when we've got the polycarbonate board towards the end of the stream next to this one as well. Although the polycarbonate one is a wing keyless one, so it's slightly bit different on the bottom row, but we'll take a look at that shortly as well. Okay, so that's the switches all, sorry, that's the stabilizers all put into place. Now it's time to pop the switches in the board. So as I say, these are lubed Gateron blacks with 78 gram sprit springs in, and I've chosen these switches purely because the previous switches that I used in my polycarbonate Singa were tangerines, which are basically just a recolored version of this switch. The first thing I'm going to do is just going to pop a couple of switches on either side into place, make sure they're clipped into the plate and the PCB fully, make sure everything's nice and flush. I'm just going to put a few in place around the board to hold it all together nicely. Just checking that these are all in place and in position. We have got a bent pin on that one, so we'll change that in a second. All looking good here. All looking good there. All looking good there. I'm just going to change this one because it just bent the pin a little bit. As you can see, just the bent pin on the base of that one, but we can just straighten it up nice and easily. So now those a few are in place, we can go through and we can just fill the remainder of the board out. Should be a nice easy job. These do fit nicely. I do remember on the previous Singa, one of the challenges I had was fitting the switches into the plate. It was quite tight. And I did build a Singa V2 for a friend that had Holly Penders in, and my thumbs have never been in as much pain as after doing that build. That was pretty tough. Let's catch up with chat. Is the new Singa PCB available? Yes, it is. Yeah, and USB-C. And R3 doesn't have wing keyless. Yeah, that was some of the changes. We'll talk about the actual changes to the layouts and stuff when we get both boards next to each other. I've got a V2 and it's way better than I expected. 75% wasn't aesthetically pleasing to me in any pics, but it's really nice in person. Yeah, I'd agree, man. 75% is a nice layout to use. It's very functional, and there's a reason why most laptop layouts are 75% as well, because of the functionality benefits of having it. But most laptop keyboards these days do offer 75% features. Okay, all looking good so far. Just try and layer in these switches nicely. Then we'll check for bent pins at the end, make sure there's no bent pins, and then we'll crack on with the soldering. Okay. Is Zeal Stabs worth it over Cherry? Usually no. There's a problem with the Cherry and the GMK ones at the minute where the tolerances have changed between rounds of manufacturing. So GMK are looking into it at the moment for their screw-in stabilizers. So hopefully soon we'll have some updates as to how that's going to be fixed, if it is at all. But the GMK and Cherry stabilizers aren't quite as good as they were just a few months ago. So for that reason, I'm building this one with Zeal stabilizers, and my previous one's built with Zeal stabilizers as well, so trying to keep it as consistent as possible. Here's me hoping that I've lubed enough switches to fill this board now. Okay, we'll go with stepped caps lock because why the hell not? Switch housing wasn't quite closed there. Okay, just start to fill in the gaps now. Then we'll check for any bent pins, and then we'll go from there. Literally just a flex. For Zeal Stabs, no, there is a difference in terms of feel. You can tell that there's a difference between the two. Usually I would say that you might as well just pick the cheapest option because GMK screw-in stabs are great. But with the changes recently to the tolerances, I'm struggling to agree with that at the minute. I struggled with my Clipper build the other week, and when I've looked into it, the reason that I've struggled with it is because of the stabilizers themselves. So I kind of don't want to use them at present. That's not because I dislike GMK stabilizers. Usually that's what I use exclusively, but this particular instance I just want to stay safe and build something that's going to do this board justice. Okay, so that switch really doesn't want to go in. Let's put that to one side. We'll go full backspace on this one, just because it separates the layout of the top row a little bit, so it's not all mirrored. Key. This kind of breaks it up a little bit. I prefer that aesthetic personally. Really beginning to worry I've not lubed enough switches in. if I haven't, we can always grab a couple more. Good to know. I'll be getting cherry then from a U80. Yeah, Rama is actually working on stabilizers themselves at the minute, so they've got a kind of, well, and I don't just mean the mod that he's shown previously. He actually has a full new design for stabilizers that they'll be releasing hopefully this year. It's quite a while since it was originally teased, so I'm excited to see something on that front soon. Really worrying that I've not lubed enough switches here, guys. I've completely miscalculated. We'll see. We shall see. Get a space bar in a second just to check that one out. Make sure it's in the right spot. And then we need, I think that's going to go here. I think that's going to go there, I think. Okay, we'll just get some keycaps out to check those now. I think I've got some lying around here. Let's see what we've got. Oops. These are POM keycaps. Okay, so that looks like I need to move it over one. Yeah, these are jelly POMs that I've had for a long time. Some more 1.25U keycaps, make sure everything aligns just along here. Okay, looks like we just need to move this one over. I've run out of keycaps that fit the size I need, I think. Typical. Let me just have a look, see if I've got some GMK ones lying around. This isn't the set I'm using on the board, it's just because there's keycaps in it. So we can quite easily just tweak these and change them. Okay. Go that 1.5 there. Or maybe that's... Maybe that has to be menu. Interesting. Yeah, so that looks like the bottom row here. Just check these. Yeah, okay. All looking good. So that's how we're going to go with the bottom row. Come on. So everything's looking good from that bottom row perspective there. We've got all of the switches in place. Next thing to do is just catch up with the chat, and then I'll take a look at the pins, make sure we don't bent any. Jack Static says, is this a personal build because the colour choices are on point? No, it's not a personal build. This was sent to me as a review unit by Cat Elaine directly. So it's silver and rose gold. Couldn't remember the name of the word. I was going to say pink. I was trying to say rose pink, but that wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever. But yeah, it's rose gold, which is lovely. Dropping frames just for you. Well, let me have a look. Haven't dropped any frames since we started. 0% dropped frames. Well, 0.1, but I think that's probably like 4 frames or something. Thornkin just joining. What board is this? This is the Singa V3. There you go. Oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll wait for Rama then. Yes, the Rama stubs are going to be soon. Yeah. Which Rama I'll do? 01 did you order? The silver value one or the red one? I'm still undecided. The silver one is what I was wanting. Asking the build. There you go. Uptime. Sigh. Yeah, you go fix that if you want, Gio. You can add that if you want to. Yeah. Denton Burton Jr. How do I commission a piece from you? I would like to build the same colour as my Bugatti Chiron in Forza. Gold. I was going to say in Forza. Yeah, okay. Gold and brown. Dude, if you buy the keyboard, I will build it for you. The thing is, I don't colour keyboards or anodise these in any way, shape or form. This is how the manufacturers do them. This is how the group buy runners arrange them. So if you want to buy a board in certain colours, gold and brown, you can absolutely do that. But you will need to do that yourself and source the keyboard directly with the manufacturers or with the group buy runner to get the colours that you like. Or you'll have to have the board delivered in a colour you don't want it and then have it recoloured via Cerakote or powder coat or re-anodised as well. There's multiple options you can do that, but it does add more expense. If you're in the EU and you do want to look at re-anodization services, Cerakote services, I can point you in the right direction. I have got some contacts with some a series of manufacturers and vendors over here that can accompany with that. So if you do want to do that, then it depends on the board that you want and everything else. So just tell me what case it is, tell me what colours you particularly want if you pick the Pantones or RAL colours or whatever else it is that you've got that you want it to be, and what type of finish you want as well. So yeah, it all depends on what you want. As I say, this is the Singa V3 case. If you want this particular one, you'll have to buy a Singa V3. This is going to come in different colours, so you'll be able to buy it in velvet, you'll be able to buy it in rose gold, which is this one, you'll be able to buy it in navy, blood orange, eco, which will be white, or lilac. So those are the options that are going to be available, 6 different colours. Okay guys, so that's all done and in place. The first thing I'm going to do now is just check that we haven't bent any pins. So I'm just going to go switch by switch, making sure all the pins are visible, and as long as they all are, then we'll be able to crack on with the soldering. So we've got one here that's just got bent pin. Again, I'm just going to straighten that up and repress it in. Okay, so that's the first row, all looking good. I'm just going through, just checking that there's 2 pins showing through for every single switch. Okay, all looking fine here. Okay, no more bent pins so far, just the one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, so all looking good from that perspective. And as you can see, the PCB and the plate are flush, as there should be. All the switches are flush to the PCB all the way around. No gaps at all. All looking nice and neat and tidy. So that does mean that we are ready to solder this particular board. I'm just going to grab my soldering iron and some solder. There we go. Just going to let that heat up for a second. Get the solder ready. Yeah, and lilac, by the way, is more of a grey based on what pics I've seen. Yeah, from what I understand, it is a little bit more grey, but it's still kind of a lilac-ish purple. But yeah, it is more of a greyish shade. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just, as always, just pin a couple of switches in the corners. Just so that if I knock or move the build, everything's going to be held together and it'll all stay nice and tidy. Okay. And then just going to do this top corner as well. There we go. Yeah, the PCB looks great, Elliot. Wilbert does do a good job. Don't worry, I won't expect so much of my commissions of you. I just expect something functional. I don't need things to work to look as aesthetic as this. I just want stuff that works. I'm not that fussy, but it is nice to have something that's nice. Okay, we're just going to go a few switches at a time, go row by row, and then we'll retest the keyboard. We'll put it all together. At that point, we'll make sure everything is working, all the keys are working, and then from there, we'll put the case back together, put some keycaps on the board, and then do a sound test. So, guesses please for which keycaps I'm going to use. I'll give you a clue. It's not GMK Olivia. It won't be Olivia going on this board, but guesses please as to what keyset we're going to apply today. Maybe I'll send some top clack stickers to the first person to guess it right. Yeah, we'll send some top clack stickers, maybe even a top clack keycap actually. Top clack stickers and a top clack keycap to the first person to guess which keyset is going to go on the board today. So what says what soldering iron do you use? And Elliot is correct. It's a TS100. Yeah, that's exactly right. Zoe says Hamon. No, not Hamon. Not minimal. Sorry, it's Apocalypse. No, sorry, Llama. It's not minimal. Minimal's on my clipper. So apologies for that. Nautilus. No, Coral's not out yet. I can't put Coral on it. It's not going to be Coral. Personally, I'm not a fan of that set anyway, so I wouldn't use it. I do like the fact that it's for charity, so that's a good thing. Maybe I'd buy it for that reason. Bento, no, I didn't buy Bento actually. Bento was one board that I one key set that I didn't actually purchase, and I missed out on the extras because I was folding and sorting boxes out this morning for the JO1 group buy, so I didn't get a chance to even go through for the extras. But yes, it's not Bento. I'll give you a clue. The clue is I might be very quiet with it. Quiet is the clue. VOC, no. GMK, it is a GMK set, it's not an SA set. Be clear on that one. Code J muted, absolutely spot on. So Code J was the first one to get it right. If you want to DM me on Discord, if you're in our Discord server, you can reach the link below the stream. Or if you want to whisper me on here your address, I will send you out a couple of top clack stickers and a top clack keycap. Very well done. But yes, it is going to be muted. I'm going to put on this board. everyone putting muted. Hammerhead, Llama, you are winding up to there. You are playing troll today, and very well too, I might add. GG cam depths. I've actually got cam depths on my PC Singa, so I wouldn't put the same set on both boards, and I'm not sure that the cam depth set would go with this particular board either with the colours, but. Yeah, we'll be going muted for this particular build. Yeah, I'll send you a couple of stickers code and the top clack keycap, It's a DSA white keycap with the new Top Clack logo, the one that you can see blazoned all over the stream today on there. So I'll send those out to you if you message me directly. And give me a shipping address. Doesn't matter where in the world you are. It might take a little while to get to you, but I'll ship it. Okay. Approaching the midway point of the soldering, guys. Shouldn't be too much longer. I'll take a look at what's going on in chat in just a minute, guys. Just want to, I know this is the most boring part of the stream. I do apologise for that. But we shouldn't be too much longer with the soldering now. We are getting through the board fairly quickly. And it looks like I'm going to have to buy some more solder at some point soon, because it looks like this roll is running out. Okay. Apocalypse giving Denton some help here, not in the case, but there are Bluetooth 60% PCBs okay, but in plastic case of Bluetooth. Battery placement is still going to be a bit tricky in most cases. Might be better off waiting for design, which is in design for Bluetooth. Yeah, so the TR60 supports Bluetooth. If you can find one of those for sale, that does have an integrated plate. It is 60%, and it comes in standard 60 or HHKB 60. Well, that's MX HHKB really. That does support Bluetooth. I have one. It does work relatively well. You do have to use a different. It's kind of like got a back accent piece, like a back weight. You do have to use a specific one if you want to use Bluetooth, and it doesn't work if you move it to the wrong angle around near your PCB or the receiver or anything like that. If the receiver's in front of the keyboard, for example, it doesn't work too well. I've got a USB. Bluetooth adapter that's just under the edge of the desk here. If I use that one to connect to rather than one that's in the PC itself, that keyboard tends not to work if it's set on my desk because the Bluetooth doesn't reach very well through the keyboard. I do live under a bridge, says Llama Farmer. Okay, interesting. Which bridge do you live underneath? Is it a bridge that I've heard of? Is it a bridge I know of? I quite enjoy the lubing of switches and soldering switches, so no need to rush. Yeah, I enjoy doing it too, but it's not something that people enjoy watching me do on stream, I'm sure. Okay, we are getting there though. Just 2 more rows to do after this one. Okay. Jax is listening to this while he drives to work. Thanks for keeping me sane. No worries. Hope you come to NorCal. I wish I could come to NorCal. I've already done one US meetup this year, which was Seattle. I really can't justify the expense of doing 2. Sadly, Top Clack doesn't have enough funding to be able to pay for me to travel that far, so I have to pay for it out of pocket. And the last trip was expensive enough, so sadly I won't be making it to NorCal. But Brian will be there. I'm sure he'll be making it. It's much easier for him to drop down from Washington to NorCal, so I'm sure that will happen. Okay, getting there now with the soldering. Almost on the final row. Just finish this one up and then we'll jump down onto the final row, and that will be a lot faster because there's a lot fewer keys down there. almost there now, guys. Just finish up this row and then we're done. Last couple of keys now, guys. Almost there. And there we go. All done. All done soldering. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to flip this over. We're going to just retest this one more time, make sure all of the keys are working, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I forgot about the TR60. Yeah, I can't wait for my HHKB Bluetooth adapters to come from KBD fans. Those things look great. Yes, they do. I'm not usually into Topra boards, but yeah. Less boring than my Geo homework. Oh well. Homework's important, man. You should pay attention. You see, life under the Joe King Memorial Bridge is just great. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. I hope the Joe King Memorial Bridge is a very nice place to live under. Watch the Ruin the Pro 3. Pro 3? Oh, the HHKB Pro 3. Sorry, yes. I appreciate yes. Okay, so we're just going to test this PCB once more, make sure that all of the keys are working. So I'm just going to unplug this. We'll warm it back up if we need to do any more soldering, but we should be okay now. Let me grab a switch hitter. There we go. Where's the app gone? It's here. Let's just flick this over to an ANSI layer, ANS line. Okay, and then let's just go through the keys one by one, just so you guys can see that everything is working. Okay, all looking good there. Okay, all looking good here. Not used to the ANSI enter, so hitting multiple keys there. Okay, all looking good here. And then that's the FN key, which is a 1U key. I might just switch these around later on if I don't like this look, because I can probably have two 1.25U keys in there. We'll see how that goes, but we'll go with the 1.5 and the 1U for now, and we might just adjust that later on. There we go. Okay, so that's the PCB all soldered together and put together now. Now it's time to put the PCB and plate inside the case. So I'm just going to flip this over, line that all together. Get the relevant screws ready for this. So multiple packs of screws in here. These ones are the ones for the top mount plate. And as you can see, these are hex as well. Just see if they're the same size. Yes, so I don't need to change a bit from the case ones. We're just going to go into one side. Okay, now Elaine did mention that these might be a little bit long. They are. So these ones are designed for. So she said that these might be a little bit long, so the screws are a little bit long. Again, she's fixed this already for the main version. So the screws are a little bit too long to hold it in nice and tight. I'm just gonna have a look, see if I have some ones that will fit. Again, you won't get this on the production version. Everything will work just fine. So I want some shorter ones. M2.5s. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see if these will fit. These look like the right size. Do need a slightly larger bit. Okay, let's give one of these a try and see if we have any luck. There we go. So those are looking good. Whoops. It's firing that across the desk. So just going to go diametrically opposed, make sure we're spreading out the resistance across the case evenly. Make sure we don't have any build-up of pressure. Again, no need to over-tighten. All you're trying to do is hold things in place, not over-tighten stuff. So keyboard, guys, it doesn't need to be, you know, super tight. Okay, that's there. Okay, last two. Lumber Farmer, of course you can ask a question anytime. You just ask away and I'll try and keep up with the questions. You can ask a question at any point. Website or thread for this board when it releases. Yeah, so I think there's a couple of people that posted the links. Hopefully they'll post them again. This is from Singa Keyboard. If you Google that, it will bring you to the site directly. It's nice and easy to find. And that's run by Cat Wee Wee. How do I know what stabs I need for a 60%, or more specifically the GK64? And I'm not sure what layout the GK64 has. Thank you, You're Gonna Lose, for posting the link. But what I would say, Lamb Farmer, is that any switch that's more than 2 units, and by 2 units I mean 1 unit is a single keycap. So if you take A, that's 1 unit as a keycap. So if it's twice the size of that, so it's 2U, or larger keys than that. So backspace is an example of a 2U key. That's going to need a stabilizer. Generally, what you need keys for is for your backspace, for your enter, irrespective of whether it's ANSI or ISO. You also need a stabilizer, either 6.25U or 7U for your spacebar. If you are going ANSI, you will need one for your left shift, and if you're going ANSI or ISO, you may need one for your right shift depending on the size of the board. But any key that's larger than 2U, so that any key that's larger than 2 switches together, such as this one is, that's where you'll need a stabilizer. You can always tell by looking at the base of the cap as well. If you look at the bottom of the cap, it's got 3 sets of indentations for MX style stems, then you know that it needs a stabilizer on it. Okay, so that's the plate all mounted in the board. I think you'll agree that looks rather nice. Let's get rid of switch hitter. Now we know the board works, we don't need to see that again. So I think you'll agree that does look pretty nice. There you go. We'll now pop the board together and screw the base in. Oh gosh, that's heavy. So it does have these unique alignment pins, which are new to R3, so you'll hear it clip together in a second. There you go. That's all now clipped together. Again, we're going to go diametrically opposed. I'm just going to put the case screws in each corner first. No worries on alignment here because those alignment pins hold the board really nice and tight together, so don't need to worry about alignment on this particular board. Can just go ahead and screw it straight together. I'm now getting Amazon shipping notifications. Counter crosswise, yeah. Diametrically opposed. Yeah, also is it plate mount? Yeah, that's a good point, Gio. So it also depends, Llama Farmer, on if you've got a plate mount or a PCB mount stabilizer board. You will need different stabilizers depending on which mount it is. Yeah, I think you guys are working it out together, so well done everyone for helping Llama Farmer out. That's very nice to see. Okay, got to love how this line looks. I think it looks fantastic. Okay, almost there now, guys. Pretty sure it's plate mount as well. Yeah, I've never looked at the GK64, so I'll take your guys' word for it. You guys are looking at it more than I am. Okay, this is the board all now screwed together, and we're going to pop the bump-ons on the base. And then once we've done this, we'll start to put some keycaps on the board, and then we'll compare it to the previous Singa. We'll do a bit of sound test of both. The polycarbonate one is the one I have here. There we go. And all these little bits out. Awesome. There we go. Yeah, you can use it as a torque hand driver, yeah. So you can absolutely use it as a torque hand driver if you need to. I tend not to because I actually have a vintage tool I prefer for this. So this is my vintage screwdriver, and as you'll see, this whole barrel here twists as I close it up. So basically, to screw something in, you just push it down. Basically, you put your screw bit in here. There's some different bits in there. You put your bit in the end. You hold onto this, and then you just go like that, and it screws it in for you. It's dead easy and dead great. I love my old tools. Sadly, they don't make these anymore. But yeah, screw ratchet drivers, and it does normal and reverse as well. If you flick the switch on it, it'll go into reverse. So yeah. But okay. I'm glad this Singa doesn't have giant holes in the plate for the bottom row. Yeah, it is one of those things. I'm probably going to change these around. I've realised I thought it was two 1.5 U keys. I don't know why I thought that, because it's obviously not. But I'll probably change these around because I've done 1.5 and 1. It's probably going to be a little bit awkward, but we'll work on that when we get to it. We'll do that off stream anyway. It's not something we need to change now. It'll be a 2-minute job later on. Okay. So to say, we are going to put GMK muted on this board. Let me just move the board up slightly. This is a relatively unused set. Again, I've got 2 of this set. I think this set's only been used for about a day, maybe 2. It's not been used for very long at all. Okay, you guys can decide if we need to use any accent keys or not. What do you think, guys? Any purple or blue accents that should be used on this board, or do you think we should just stick with the grey? I'll let you guys pick. Okay. Both. You want to see both accents on here? Okay. Let's see what people vote for. I could probably do the purple spacebar and the blue escape or something like that. Sadly, it didn't come with ANSI enters or anything like that. Basically, you've got a choice of the escape key, the F keys, I think. Yep. And then I can use the plum purplish spacebar if you guys would like to see that. Just blue. Okay, maybe we'll just put the blue escape on there and leave that on there, because that's all there is in this set anyway, so maybe that's what we'll do. Now in terms of how I'm going to lay this board out, it was not corresponding to what the keys were a few minutes ago, just because I have a different choice of layout as to how I'm going to do it, but I'll reprogram that after the stream. Okay, I think that's the only key that we've got for here. Nope, there it is. There's the one I wanted. There we go. Making good progress here, guys. So much easier when the keycaps are already laid out in the tray for you. If you want to do a straw poll Frisco melt for where we put the accent keys, feel free to. The two choices are to have a plum spacebar or blue escape and F keys. Those are the two options we've got. I guess the other choice as well is if this set supports it, we can have mod coloured or alpha coloured pipe. I'm not using ANSI normally. I'll leave that up to you guys as well. We have got windowed stepped caps on. Now I don't have an LED in here at the minute, but I probably will put an LED in there for that because I do like that key. Okay. Llama Farmer and Apocalypse did some good work together. Good work. That's the wrong way around. There we go. Almost there, guys. We'll finish off this row and then we'll get the two singers next to each other and then we'll do a little bit of a sound test, show you guys what it sounds like. I had forgotten there were so few accent options within Muted. It's a long time since I've applied the set to anything, and normally I don't put any accents on with it at all, so let's see how the straw poll's doing in a minute. Do have an FN key somewhere. Positive there is one. Also positive there's an FN key. Perhaps not. There's the delete key. That's what I'm looking for. I usually use this as a function. Probably going to have to put menu on there, which is fine. And then we just need the 1.75U shift, which is there, and then put the mods in. And then I know we have royally messed up where these two keys are, but we'll just do something like this. I'll change those to 1.25U keys later on. Right, okay, so that's the keys all applied. I'm a little bit disappointed. Let's see, Frisco Melt, sorry, if you want to show the results, let's have a look. Okay, so most of the votes are for no no accents, so let's not put any accents on. Let's go without accents. Sans accents. There we go. Let's move these keys out of the way. Give me a second, guys. Okay, guys, this is the board. Then this is a Singa V3 in rose gold, GMK muted. I think you'll agree that looks rather tasty. It's a very good looking board, especially if you flip over, look at the base. You see we've got that lovely lion logo, which really catches the light nicely. Awesome build. There we go. LED windowed caps lock. I will put an LED in there later on for this particular build. I think you'll agree, guys, that this is looking rather nice and tasty. There you go, guys. This would look insane with Olivia. Well, Olivia's there, so you can kind of imagine what it's going to look, what it would look like with Olivia. You can kind of imagine. There you go. That's what it might look like with Olivia. The pinks are very, very similar. It's not showing you in the light. Let's do it that way. Pinks are very similar. Try and get the light to reflect off the board. There you go. There you go. You can see it's very similar there. Okay, let's catch up with chat. GMK cherry stubs are the same thing. Yes, they are. They're made by the same factory. Just one's screw-in and one's clip-in. Same with Olivia. Yeah, Olivia's there. I didn't want to use Olivia. I do have Olivia for another board as well. I've got 2 sets of it, but I didn't want to put it on this board because I'm saving it for another build. Gus says, sorry for the dumb question, but what are the Milky Tops? These switches are just Gatorons with Milky Tops. That's all they are. They're not Nixies or anything else. They're just Gatorons with Milky Tops. There you go. Just nice, simple switches. Okay, still non-staggered F-row. Yeah, so the F-row is still the same. Let me grab the other Singa. We can see them side by side. So this is my polycarbonate Singa. Let's make some space here. Don't drop it in. There you go, guys. You can see. So in terms of size and angle, everything is the same. The boards are identical from that respect. What I would say is the chamfer all around the edges here is slightly larger on the metal one than it is on the polycarbonate one, which makes the bezel look thicker here than here. Don't know if you guys can see that, but it looks like the polycarbonate bezel is thicker. It's not. It's just an optical illusion because of the chamfer on the edge there. They are the same size. The bezels here are the same, everything looks the same. The blocker as well looks pretty much identical. Everything else looks pretty much the same. So there's no differences from that perspective. Inside it's still top mount, it's still the same, the 8-point top mount board that it was on the on this version as well. So there's no differences there. On the base of the board, flipping it over now, you can see that the line is still present. Just putting them together again, you can see that cuts are all still in the same places. The detail is still the same. There's exactly the same details and chamfer start points. The ridge across the top here, you might not be able to see on the polycarbonate one. You might just be able to see the line here. That is in identical the same place. The thickness of the two pieces is also the same. So you see here the seam runs across the same point on both boards. So it's all very much the same. Let's have a look at the rear of the board. So changes here that you can see that it's changed from USB to USB-C. So instead of USB mini, it's changed to USB-C. There are a couple of scratches on this board around the back here from putting the port in and things like that. So that is one difference here. The cutout's very different. Other than that, there is a very, very few differences between the board. One of the big major differences is between the plate. So as someone mentioned in chat earlier on, the plate on this bottom row, you can see it through here. You see there's big open spaces in the plate all the way across. You can even see them here as well. So there is big open spaces in the plate. So the fact that it's fixed is making it very different. But other than that, the board is very similar. I'd say this is more a refined version of the board. The polycarbonate one's great, the original one was great, but this feels more refined. It feels a little bit more subtly different, perhaps superior in some ways, just in terms of how the chamfers are on the edges and the fillets and everything else, just much nicer. You can see, we can't really see, but there isn't one much on the radius on the inside here, but there is one on the inside of this board, which is really nice there as well. Okay, so let's catch up with chat, see what's going on. The switch tops are not fully transparent but instead translucent. It does make a little bit of difference to the sound. They do sound nicer, I do find, so yeah, as probably said that as well. That coming out in the post on Tuesday. I'll get the postage sent over. Sadly not bled in, I'm not shipping to you. I do have something to ship to you actually as well. You need to send me your address for that because it's been sat on my side for a couple of weeks and I keep forgetting about it, so do hit me up about that one. Yeah, so the switches do sound different. So if you look at the milky top switches compared to the clear top ones, they do have a bit of a different sound profile. If you put them in the same board side by side with the same size cap on, you would be able to hear a slight difference in sound. Yeah. Make sure it's to his work address. Nobody picks up the post at home. Fair enough. Fair enough. USB-C, yes, it is USB-C. Yeah. Does the GMK international kits come with R1 quotes key? So for international, yeah. So for the UK, this is UK ISO. So this is GMK UK ISO. So you've got the ISO key here. You've got the hash tilde key there. You've got the apostrophe at key here, and you have up here. You have the 2 with the speech quotations and the 3 with the pound sign, as well as shift and pipe down here. So on US ANSI, you have the 2 at, which is different legend just there. You have 3 hash or pound, but it's the currency key for the UK there, and we have our hash over here. We still use tilde and grave. We still have that up there as well, but we also have it on this function key here. And as you can see, the ISO, basically ISO is the same. If you take 1.5 here, 1.25 and 1, 1.5, 1.25 and 1, the ISO and ANSI are 2 different ways of splitting up the same area. So we've just changed it around like that a little bit. So that's the key difference, but yes, you do get 2 apostrophe if you get a UK specific kit for GMK. The Nordic kits are very different, which are the rest of the international kits. Okay, I heard there's occasionally clearance collision issues with Gateron, Milky and Cherry keycaps. Truth, only if they're orientated the wrong way. I think if they're south-facing switches, then yes. If they're north-facing, then no. So it all depends on which way around the LED is in the switch. If the LEDs are at the top of the switch, then yeah, sometimes you can have that clash issue, especially on row 3. If they're twisted and the LEDs at the bottom, then you're usually fine, as that's the way they're supposed to go around. Bledin says, subscribe for tier 1, says that Toy Store related item. Yes, that's the one, dude. I need to ship it to you because Brian gave it to me when I was in Seattle. Okay, so that's the 2 boards, guys. I'm going to turn the music off now, take my headphones off, and we're going to have a listen to both boards. Bear in mind this board has been built for about 18 months and hasn't been used for probably 3, so the stabilised keys may not be the greatest at present. It's been sat on the shelf for quite a while, so bear that in mind. But in terms of the rest of the board, you'll be able to hear the sound, especially across the alphas. The switches are very similar. It's Gator and Milky Blacks in here, and it's Tangerines in here, so they have the same milky tops, the same black bases, and the only difference is the colour of the stem, but the stems are the same material, so the switches should sound very similar. They're also the same weight, they've been lubed in the same way, so we should see a very similar sound in terms of the keys if they were in the same board, but because these are in different boards, you'll get a bit of a difference between how the polycarbonate sounds versus how the aluminium sounds. And again, we will not pay attention to the stabilized keys on this particular board, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to turn the music off and remove my headphones. Okay, so let's take a listen to this board first of all. Let's try the new board. So I think what you can hear, guys, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but this board is much more thocky, whereas this board is much more clacky, so there's a lot more clack. There's much more clack, more thock. So although the switches feel very similar, it does sound, it's not more tinny and more hollowish, it's more thock. Okay, so very much more. This is you know, aluminium board. It is going to sound different. It's very much of a thockier sound. This is much more of a clack sound, depending on what you're looking for. I think personally, I prefer the sound of the polycarbonate board, but the bottom row does let this board down. Yeah, the bottom row does let this board down just because it's so open. Other than that, I do think the polycarbonate sounds better, but I don't think it sounds bad at all. I think this sounds pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. This is an aluminium plate, this is a brass plate, so the plates do make a difference as well. But yeah, I think the board is lovely for the money. It's well worth the price. I think these boards are going to sell pretty quickly. I think you'll agree, it just looks stunning. GMK muted on Singa V3 in rose gold. I think you'll agree it looks great. The difference in the two boards in terms of sound, they are different materials, they are going to sound very different, guys. We can't judge on that. It's more of a case of to give you a bit of a comparison. So yeah, the sound is more about the case than anything else, but I think you'll agree it looks really nice. It's probably one of the nice looking pink boards I've got. Let's catch up with chat, see what you guys thought. ISO enter, yeah, the other one is ISO. More tinny and hollowish. I don't think it's that. I think it's more the case of the materials. Polycarbonate does absorb more sound than it reflects back, whereas this does reflect a lot. Swap places, yeah. Do you want me to swap places of the boards? Let's do it this way. Oops. Let's do it this way. Okay, so there you go. Switch around. There you go. Hope that's okay. What plate does the Singa V3 have? So this one in particular has a aluminium plate. I'm not sure if you can get a brass plate for it or not. In my opinion, this is PC versus RU more than anything, not V2 versus V3. Well, the V2 versus V3, this actually V1, was more comparing the layout of the board, the changes that have been made to it. So we're talking about the bezels and the chamfers around the edges. We were talking about how the mount system has been slightly changed. We were talking about how it's USB-C rather than micro USB. If you don't class those as considerations and changes between the two rounds, then I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. Looking at things like that is very much considering the changes. We also looked at the differences in the PCBs. This is very much a more generic PCB. This is a Wilbur design PCB. The plate has changed significantly. It's much more solid as this plate. It's less. It's got less gaps in it. There's less customizability from that perspective, but it isn't a Swiss cheese plate like there is in this board as well. So those are the considerations we were making across the versions. It's not necessarily PC versus LU. It's comparing the two different rounds in terms of how they're machined and built. So apologies you feel that way, Janik, but that's how I feel about it. It looks great, but I'm waiting for 7V personally. Yeah, that's fine, man. There's always more boards. Always more boards. Olivia would look so nice on it. It does. Yeah, I don't want to move Olivia from this board, and I have another set of Olivia I'm going to use for another board. So that's going to stay where it is. 7V version will be rad. Yes, so the 7V does look really nice. It's not for me directly. Jay, it's been a pleasure watching. Enjoy the Coke and rum and keep clacking. Thank you very much for that, dude. It sounds a bit different when switch plays Samo. Yeah, it probably does. It's closer to the mic here. It does sound really nice. There's not a bad sounding board by any way, shape or form. Just for reference, I'll give you a bit of a sound typing test of the JR1. You can see that's the difference a gasket mount makes in terms of the sound. Can you elaborate what you meant by the bottom row is letting this board down because it's more open? Yes, if you look here, you can see that the bottom row, there's gaps. You can see through the polycarbonate, you can see the brass. The plate has got a lot more gaps in it. If you watch the early parts of the stream, you'll see that this is a much more fixed plate in terms of that. So there's less gaps between the plates. This one offered about 5 different bottom rows. This one offers 2. There's much more plate material in between there. It's not just one open swooping bar. Thought of another. What's the deal with the foam under the PCB and plate? There is no foam under the PCB and plate in either of these builds. If you want to put it in yours though, you can do it to dampen the sound of switches. So you can put it between the plate and the PCB, it'll dampen the sound of the switches. You can put it underneath the plate and PCB, right at the very base between the PCB and the case, and that will dampen the bottom out sound and any case reverberation as well. So there we go. Okay guys, we're 2 hours in. I think that you'll all agree that this board looks stunning. I think it looks great. It's one of the nicest rose gold boards I've seen. I think even though this is a review sample and not the final production sample, it's in fantastic condition. There's just the one small mark on the case. So I imagine that the A-stock ones are going to be absolutely stunning when these ship out. I'm really impressed with this. I think it's a great revision. It's lots of subtle changes. The plate and the PCB are really nice. Sad for me they don't support ISO. I wish they did. That would be the only change I would make. Put ISO on the PCB and allow plate files to be made so that you could make your own plate files for an ISO layout, and just offer this fixed ANSI plate as part of the group buy. Again, that's, you know, limited people are going to ask for that. I'm just one small voice in a myriad of sea that people use ANSI, so it's completely understandable and completely fine that they do it this way. Again, Wilbur's PCB looks fantastic, and you know, Work of Art also uses VIA. This board you have to use QMK. I think originally Bootmapper as well. You think you had to convert it. So VIA compatibility as well, and available in this as well. So all looking good. I think it's really great. So I hope that's good for you. And that's probably custom, right? Custom foam is, yeah. So you can buy that from MK Ultra. He'll cut its size. Need better broadband, my friend. Think it must be your side. I've dropped less than 1% of frames across the whole stream, so no issues from my side. If there's any issues that you're seeing, it's either a Twitch issue because we've been stable at 6,000 kilobits per second. We had a slight dip to 6,023 from 6,054 kilobits. But yeah, not my internet, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Everything's been fine. If there's any issues with the stream, it's at Twitch's end or your end, not mine. Everything's been uploading correctly. Less than 1% drop frames, which is less than what we usually see, to be honest with you. Normally we see about 2.4%, 2.5% across normal streams. There we go. Okay guys, that's it for the build today. I think you'll agree it does look fantastic. I can't wait to get some decent glamour shots of this board and slap them on Reddit, because I think it looks really good. I'll also do a small review and write-up of all the difference between version 1 and version 3 of the boards, which is what I can write up. I get that up on Text Clack later on this week, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there. But thank you very much for you guys' support. Appreciate you guys being here on stream with me as always. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun building, and I'll see you again next week. Take care, guys.